Hi everyone, welcome to Dotpoint S12, and today we're researching programs such as this is such as Dotpoint, catchment management and land care that involve community and government groups working together to conserve and protect soils, waterways, and water catchments. So, like I said here, this is a such as Dotpoint, so you don't necessarily have to know both, although this one's a good example, catchment management of government, primarily government organisation, and land care is basically a community organisation. So you've got community and government groups there, but you only need to do one. If you know both, that is a bonus. So basically, land care, you might have seen land care before. This is their logo, and then we have these are the catchments in New South Wales, the catchment regions, and also thanks to Ruby for letting me use her sheet. So Landcare, you should have a look at the Landcare website to look at what Landcare does and to get an idea of what they do and how they do it and that kind of thing. But basically, it's a joint effort between community and government to protect and repair the environment. Now, Landcare is a community-run organisation, but some of their funding comes from the government and some of it comes from various organisations and businesses that support and donate money to them to help improve the environment. And so it's a national network of thousands of locally based community groups who care for natural resources of the country. So one of the most common things that they're known for is doing tree planting, and they get through donations and through government grants and things like that, they get trees that they get planted by volunteers. So they'll have a lot of volunteers that will come along, and if there's a project or a location in a public or private land on someone's farm, or in a public area around creek beds that go through cities and towns, they'll get volunteers involved to help do tree planting in that area. That's one of the things they're known most for. And so there's about 60,000 different people that volunteer for land care. Obviously, the organisation has a few people that are paid to run the organisation, but most people are volunteers that have anything to do with land care. And they also partner with the state and federal government, who give them money. They give them grants to get some of this stuff done. And if the government wants certain sustainability things done, they'll often ask land care to do it and give money to land care to be able to do it. And so also another example of this is Landcare has given grants to Ross Thompson, who we've been to his property. We've seen the flumes that he's built, the concrete flumes, which help relocate water from high areas to low areas and prevent erosion. And Landcare had an involvement in that they gave him half the cost of building that if he agreed to do the other half. And that was because they wanted to improve sustainability in the local area, and ultimately that money has most likely come from the government. So why do we need this organisation? Basically, Landcare allows grants of money by government and private groups to be put into action through the use of volunteers, such as tree planting, giving grants for sustainable practice, example flumes, which I just mentioned, and to improve widespread sustainability on both public and private land. And so the aims of the organisation, if you look up the website, are protect, repair, regenerate, change practice, so to educate people, learn, share, etc. And these are to help improve the environment. And so basically they help improve the sustainability of landscapes, both land and water. And so what do you think are some of the problems with achieving their goals? Basically with Landcare, it would be lack of funding. So sometimes government priorities change, new governments come in and they want to change what they think is important, and they either increase or reduce grants to people such as Landcare, and hence maybe they might not be able to achieve as much. Secondly, if you have a lack of willingness of landowners to participate, then that's going to help, or that's going to hinder them from doing what they want to do. So often they'll help on private land to help improve the sustainability of creek beds and, like I said, tree planting on properties, including private properties. And if people don't want them to come on then on their property, then that is a problem. And so that's a problem with them achieving their goal. Now, catchment management, as we said in this diagram here, there's 13 different catchments in New South Wales, and each of these catchments is based around a river system. And basically, the Catchment Management Authority, which is now run by a New South Wales state government organisation called local land services. There's still 13 catchment regions, and basically what they do is each region is responsible. They have an office, and people paid that work for the government, New South Wales government, through local land services that do research and education of farmers and all these types of things, and they work out the best and make decisions and work out and educate on the best way to manage that area. And the reason it's divided up into these areas is because each area is based around a river system, and so if each river system is controlled by only one kind of body, then that means it's more effective rather than just cutting it up into squares, and it wouldn't work like that. So all of these catchment management areas are based around river systems. Now, what do catchment managements do? So in New South Wales, as I mentioned, catchment management is run by local land services. There's 13 catchments based around river systems, and the local land services basically provides information and advice for landowners to help improve their practices, improve their land and water quality. And so who's involved in doing these things? In this case, unlike Landcare, which is a community-run organisation, this is a New South Wales government organisation, and obviously all the money for it comes from the New South Wales government, and they fund local land services and catchment management. It employs a lot of people, including environmental scientists, and they research into the best ways to do things in the catchment, to look after the catchment, and then also they help inform and advise farmers on what they should do. So why do we need catchment management? And basically, since the quality of catchments and river systems depends on many different landholders in a catchment, it's important that research and info and advice to farmers is coordinated by a central authority for that catchment. So basically, the health of a river system, how clean the water is, all those kind of things depends on all of the different land owners that river passes through. And so the local land services and catchment management authorities, they're looking after that whole area, that whole catchment area, and so they need to work with all of the people in that area who manage the land. And so, as mentioned, they get their funding from New South Wales government. Where does the Catchment Management Authority work? It's all across New South Wales, the whole of New South Wales. Each of the 13 different catchments are managed differently and have their own catchment management officers because they have their own unique situations in their catchment. So give examples of work. Again, they do research, provide field days. So they might hold field days on a farm and tell farmers, inform farmers what they can do better. And, lots of people will come to that. They have info sessions, and they also visit individual farms on request to help assist with sustainability and issues related to the larger catchment. And they have often done that to visit Ross's place and help him out with his sustainability work that he's been doing. Okay, so the 2016 question here, name and describe a program where government and community groups work together. So Landcare is a community-based volunteer organisation that receives grants from government and money from private sponsors. Using this government and other money, Landcare develops sustainability goals to help improve landscapes on public and private land. For example, they utilise volunteers to do widespread tree planting around creek and riverbank areas to reduce soil erosion and improve water quality. Secondly, here we have 2013 question. Name a program which involves farmers, government and community groups working together and explain how it can reduce the possible harmful environmental effects of agriculture. So catchment management is run by local land services in New South Wales. It's a government organisation which does scientific research but also field days and provides advice for farming groups in the community and also individual land owners. Actions by individual land owners around chemical misuse, overgrazing, etc. can affect waterways, catchments and hence other farms. Therefore, work by LLS, local land services and catchment management helps reduce widespread negative environmental effect of agriculture, such as chemical contamination, salinity and erosion. Now I've created 2 extra questions here because there's not heaps of questions from past papers. So here's a 5-mark question. Outline the role of community group in improving the sustainability of agricultural land through partnerships with landholders, government and volunteers. So here's an answer for that. 5-mark answer. If you want to have a read of that, just should pause the video here. And if you move down here, there's another 5-mark question here as well. And here's a 5-mark answer for that. And again, if you want to read that, you should pause the video here.